It's also Veterans Day. I mean, you know, it's Veterans Day in part because it used to be called Armistice Day. It used to be the day that the war to end all wars ended. And now it's the day that basically we give lip service to veterans. And I would like to suggest that we stop what has become a national tic, a national unconscious or involuntary spasm of saying thank you for your service. And I mean, we can continue to say that if you want, but I would like to add something to it, which is I'm really sorry for what we've done to you. You know, on behalf of the United States, I'd like to apologize to our veterans. And the reason why is because we've had a series of wars, and these have been bipartisan. Vietnam was Lyndon Johnson's war. We have had a series of wars since 1948 that really had nothing to do with the United States. They had no purpose. I think you can make a strong argument for Korea, and the strongest argument of that was Dwight Eisenhower campaigning in 1952 on ending that war, and then doing so by simply saying to the North Koreans, okay, we'll just draw a line and we'll just, you know, that's yours, this is ours, end of discussion. And then we had Vietnam. Well, then we had, you know, a number of small wars in the Central America, and then we had Vietnam, and then we were back to, you know, Ronnie Reagan having wars in Central America that were illegal and that we're still hearing the echoes of. You know, all these children coming in from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. And then on top of that, you know, Reagan had Grenada, and George Herbert Walker Bush had Kuwait. And, you know, everybody had to have a little war, right? George W. Bush was planning a war in Iraq back in 1999, 2 years before he was appointed president by the Supreme Court. Bill Clinton had his war in Bosnia. That one, I think you can make a stronger moral case for our involvement in that and the NATO coalition, but I realize it's still very contentious. But by and large, our veterans have been treated like crap. I mean, here's a news story from October of last year. The Republicans were going after the SNAP program, the food stamp program. About 900,000 veterans and 5,000 active duty troops face cuts in their food stamp benefits beginning Thursday as $5 billion is automatically trimmed from the SNAP program for low-income families. Republicans cutting food stamps for veterans. Here's another one. The House of Representatives on Thursday approved sweeping reforms to the nation's food stamp program that would cut some $40 billion in nutrition aid over 10 years and deny benefits to millions starting in 2014. That's this year. Many of those millions are veterans. February of this year, February 27th, Senate Republicans blocked Democrats from expanding a bill that would have expanded, from advancing a bill that would have expanded health care and education for veterans. Republicans blocked that. The Democrats called for a motion to waive the budget point. In other words, hey, let's get past this and go on with this. It got 56 votes in the Senate, all the Democrats and a couple of Republicans. But still, the Republicans, you know, Mitch McConnell insisted on filibustering. It took 60 votes, and it never got them. On May 29th, 2014, Senate Republicans blocked $21 billion to build new VA clinics because they said it was too expensive. But they did want, this is $21 billion for veterans, they did want a $600 billion tax cut for big corporations, big multinational corporations. In June of this year, by the end of June, an estimated 285,000 veterans will be going without long-term unemployment benefits because Congress allowed the program to expire in December. We got over 250,000 veterans who have lost their long-term unemployment benefits. Why? It actually passed the Senate. You can't blame Mitch McConnell on this one. It went to the House where John Boehner said, you know, if I put this on the floor of the House, all the Democrats are going to vote in favor of extending unemployment benefits, and there's no shortage of Republicans who will. There's going to certainly enough Republicans that'll pass. And because that would be inconsistent with the caucus room conspiracy plan to destroy Obama and deny him any kind of legacy, because Obama might get some credit for 250,000 veterans having their long-term benefits, unemployment benefits extended. Screw the veterans. This is what John Boehner, in effect, said. Screw the veterans. Not to mention George W. Bush. You might want to pull up that Cindy Sheehan clip. Yeah. Well, here's what, George W. Bush. Well, Cindy Sheehan tells the story really well. This was her, under oath testimony before John Conyers' committee in the House of Representatives back, I think this was like in 2004, 2005. Here she is.
As a matter of fact, in interviews in 1999 with respected journalists and longtime Bush family friend Mickey Herskowitz, then Governor George Bush stated, "One of the keys to being seen as a great leader is to be seen as commander-in-chief. My father had all this political capital built up when he drove the Iraqis out of Kuwait, and he wasted it. If I have a chance to invade, if I had that much capital, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to get everything passed that I want to get passed, and I'm going to have a successful presidency," end quote. It looks like George Bush was ready to lead this country into an avoidable war even before he became president.
Yep, and it's true. It's true. So, George W. Bush using veterans as props, right? Sticking a sock in his pants and flying onto the USS Abraham Lincoln and saying, "I'm here, I'm a tough guy." Yeah, right. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans throw veterans under the bus. This from 2012, 9/23/2012. This is $1 billion in funds to put veterans back to work. What did Tom Coburn say? Senator No. He said, "What we have is a bill that's brought to the floor that has good intentions but shows the absolute laziness of Congress." Right? There's no evidence that jobs for vets will work. 40 Republicans voted to keep Americans' veterans unemployed. Alexander, Ayotte, Barrasso, Blunt, Boozman, Burr, Chambliss, Coates, Coburn, Cochran, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, or is that Crapo? I think it's Crapo. DeMint, Enzi, Graham, Grassley, Hatch, Hoven, Hutchison, Isaacson, Johans, Johnson, Kyle Lee, Lugar, McCain, McConnell, Moran, Paul, Rand Paul, Portman, Risch, Roberts, Rubio, Sessions, Shelby, Thune, Toomey, Vitter, and Vicker. Those 40 Republicans voted no on $1 billion for jobs for vets.